What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on this week's episode of Married at First Sight. So Woody is still buying flowers for Amani. I find it very sweet. He's a very romantic guy, so I'm really rooting for them as a couple. One thing that rubbed me a little bit like the wrong way, not like in a negative way, it just made me raise an eyebrow. It's how much money this guy wants to spend on things. I'm pretty sure he's a teacher and a coach, and listen, teachers are not paid what they deserve, you know? So I'm quite surprised at how much he is willing to spend on some things. For example, when they were creating the budget together, Amani asked him how much he thinks that they should be spending on date nights, for example. And he goes about $150, and like to do it once a week, which over the span of a month totals up to $600, right? And then he also talked about his clothing budget. He wanted to spend $500 a month on clothing. So that right there is $1,100 on dates and clothing, which I don't know, like depending on how much it is he's bringing in, maybe he's got some side hustles that like he wants to spend the extra money on. It's a little bit high up there in my humble opinion, and I noticed that Amani was pretty surprised as well. Meanwhile, Olivia is still interrogating Brett about her suspicions of him being fake just for the camera. So they do like a Skype call with Pastor Cal to talk about it, and meanwhile Olivia is still grilling Brett about allegedly being different when the cameras are on and off. And so they do a Skype therapy session with Pastor Cal, and he asks Olivia, like, does he seem like a nice person when the cameras are off? And she admits that, yeah, he is a very sweet and caring person when the cameras are off. And then, you know, producers show some of that footage of him like asking her to cuddle up, to kiss him, like, you know, very nice, tender, affectionate moments. So she can't exactly put into words what it is that she means. And I feel like in that sort of a case, it's just her intuition, knowing that something is up before there's enough quote unquote evidence or logic to prove it as well, to corroborate it. So I do understand what she's trying to get at. It's just something in her spirit is telling her that this isn't the right guy and that this guy isn't 100% genuine with her. Now, guys, I kind of find Bennett's sister annoying, you know, like he goes out to like lunch with her and she brings this like giant stuffed like duck or bird or whatever. And I was just like, are we not over this shtick yet? Like you know, at first I was like, Bennett and Amelia are amazing, one of a kind, meant for each other, and I still do feel that way. But I kind of feel like there's a little bit of a shtick going on that I am 100% over at this point. She did like a tarot card reading of him. Like I literally fast forwarded through most of it. But one thing he did tell his sister was that he does think that he is in love with Amelia, which is quite nice. And I also loved Miles and Karen's two truth and a lie game that they played at the park by the tire. It was just, you know, a good example of them bonding on like a friendship emotional level. Meanwhile, when it comes to Henry and Christina, Henry's friend, the one who made a lot of incredibly disrespectful comments about his wife at the wedding before she even got to know her, she came over and talked to him about how his marriage is going so far. And Henry mentions how Christina said that a lack of confidence is her biggest deal breaker, and he felt that it was a dig at him. And the friend talked about how she feels as though Christina isn't a nice person, and she brings up examples of the way that Christina treats and speaks to production, which is something that we've been talking about, everyone's been talking about since day one, so I will give them that. But a couple things I did not like about this sit down was, number one, Henry only told her the negative. He never told his friend about how Christina is constantly talking about, yes, you are incredibly different from the men that I'm used to, but I'm finding some things that I really like about like this new way of, you know, getting to know someone. Like he never brought up any of the positives. And number two, his friend told him that she doesn't think the marriage is going to work out. She thinks that they're too different, etc., etc. And she blamed it all on Christina and mainly her treatment of production, etc. But when it came to Henry and everything that he does wrong, like he doesn't open up, he doesn't want to work on his lack of confidence, he doesn't feel like, he just doesn't want to bring anything to the table really that his wife is asking for. She tells him, oh, like there's nothing you need to change, like you're, you know, these qualities about you don't make you bad or anything like that. But listen, these are the qualities that have stopped him from forming relationships with people for 30 years. So obviously there is something that does need to be changed and need to be improved and need to be addressed. I don't like women who solely blame other women for failures of relationships. Henry's playing a very big part part in the demise of this marriage as well. Amelia goes out to lunch with a friend of hers and lets her know that she and Bennett are officially knocking boots. And then it looked like Brett had just finished crying during his last confrontation with Olivia about like how she doesn't like his sarcasm. And I wonder if this is the point where he officially checks out of the relationship. Seeing Karen, Amani, Woody, and Miles all together makes me so happy. It's nice to see like genuine friends, Woody and Miles, you know, in this experiment. I think that that is going to be their advantage, and it's going to help them a lot throughout their marriages. I'm really counting on the four of these people to make it past decision day and just to keep leaning on each other for help throughout this like very new and very confusing process that they're going through. We finally get to see a little bit more of Christina's personality when her friend Chris comes over and she reveals that she still has not slept with Henry. And she says, listen, I'm used to like having sex on day one, and I felt like, you know, girl, like this must be so hard for you. I truly feel for her in this relationship because Henry is just not giving her anything to work with. She thinks that she may be in the friend zone at this point, which is sad, like watching her realize that. She's like, I feel like if nothing's happened at this point, then maybe he does just see me as a friend. And then per usual, she talks about how there are so many people she knows who want to marry her, but she just doesn't see that desire from her husband Henry. And you know, talking to her friend Chris was the happiest I had seen Christina all season, and I want so much more for her. She deserves better. I don't know why Henry was cast on the show in the first place. Switching gears over to Bennett and Amelia again, they told each other that they loved each other while they were on a hike, and I thought it was incredibly sweet. And then, you know, we finally get word of COVID hitting New Orleans, and Miles says, listen, because of the situation, I wasn't able to take Karen out to the romantic dinner I had planned for us to celebrate our 1-month anniversary. So I'm taking her to the park and giving her gifts there instead. It was just such a romantic, heartfelt, thoughtful gift. And I don't know, Karen just seems so like unmoved by it. And then when he asked her how she felt about the state of their relationship 1 month in, she also didn't give him very much to work with. And I feel really bad for him. Karen is just, her walls are very high up, which I don't understand why people like this sign up for the show. Like, you're supposed to be as open as possible on the show. It's not, like, you know what the show is about. Like, it's been on for years, you know, and you can't open up. So why would you get on a show where you're getting married immediately? You only have 2 months to decide whether you want to stay married. Like, give it your all here, damn. As for Bennett and Amelia's 1-month anniversary gifts to each other, I'm pretty convinced that Bennett got his from like dumpster diving or something, because he got her this blender, or maybe he stole it from the showroom floor. He got her this blender, but it didn't come in a box. Like, he just appeared at the apartment with a blender. I was starting to wonder if it was a joke, because he also mentioned that they had 2 blenders, so maybe he just took one of their blenders and just was like, haha, this is your gift, and it was a joke or something. I don't know. Meanwhile, Amelia wrote a song for him and she performed it on her little guitar, and I just like all the songs she makes for him, especially this one. She just has such a good, beautiful voice and a beautiful way with words, and just gifts from the heart are the most special always. Meanwhile, for their 1-month anniversary, Olivia and Brett watched their wedding video. Neither of them gives the other a gift. He kept trying to cuddle up with her because he's a very like physical touch kind of a person. But she already did say that she's not really a physical touch kind of a person. But like, not only was she not a physical touch kind of a person in this scene, but like her body was really closed off. She was hugging herself basically. And so I think that this is her body yet again screaming that this is not the guy for you, Olivia. You know, she was smiling and everything, but her body was telling a completely different story. Meanwhile, in Christina and Henry world, Christina starts off their 1-month anniversary with a very negative dig at Henry. They open up their wedding album and she talks about how those were like, I don't know, better times or something like that. And he wasn't really happy about it. But then she did turn a corner in terms of positivity, you know, telling him literally, you know, I know that things are quite different with the way we're going about it and like at the pace and stuff, but I like it. I feel like as though you're really trying to genuinely get to know me as a person, and I appreciate it quite a bit. I noticed that like Olivia and Brett, these two did not get each other anniversary gifts. And then Woody's anniversary gift to Amani was my favorite. And this guy got her diamond earrings and coupons for like candlelit dinners and a bunch of little like, you know, romantic, erotic things that they would be doing together. And she cashed in one of hers, which was a foot massage coupon. Yeah, guys, that's your recap of what went down on this week's episode of Married at First Sight. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.